It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birds of party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Anthony Witrado, here to celebrate the end of a losing streak, a come-from-behind victory, a walk-off, a Yoshinobu Yamamoto gem. I mean, we got 100 things to celebrate tonight, Anthony. I did not think I was going to be leading off with that sort of energy and positivity about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely no negatives to discuss coming out of tonight's game. Right, all positive. It was all warm and fuzzy. The stopper was on the mound and he stopped them. Boy, that would have been brutal.
Wasn't, but would have been brutal. That's for sure. Dodgers take a 1-0 lead into the ninth with pretty much the one guy in the bullpen that you feel like you trust a little bit. Had an ERA that started with a 1 coming into this, was one of the only guys who was well rested. And yet, none of it matters, Anthony, because the Dodgers go into the 10th inning down 3-1. I tweeted, hey, a week and a half ago, they were down 3 runs to the Diamondbacks in the final innings. This is light work for the Dodgers. Sure enough, Tommy Edman starts things off with a double, and then it's a bunch of walks. It's a sacrifice fly. It's a move them over fly. And the Dodgers, a hit by pitch that scores a run. And in the end, it is 4-3 Dodgers, thanks to Max Muncy's walk-off sacrifice fly. Let's just talk about the emotion, Anthony. I know what fans are feeling. I know what I am feeling. I can only imagine what this team was feeling after getting swept by the Angels, losing game 1 in dominating fashion, I might add, to the Diamondbacks. And then to have a no-hit bid by your ace to only put 1 run on the board, blow it in the 9th. And in midst all of that, to be able to mount a comeback in the 10th inning, I think that says something about the group of guys the Dodgers have assembled.
Yeah, I think so. Look, the resiliency of this club is still there. It was something that we praised last year. It's something that we've been praising early on this season. During some of these down stretches, I know fans have been frustrated with some of, maybe believing that fight wasn't there or whatever. But look, I mean, your roster, no matter how stacked it appeared to be coming into the season, can only take so many dings before you start to have games and have stretches where you're not playing well because you don't have the entirety of your roster at your disposal, and it's a worse team, in that situation. But when this team is mostly right, like, they will fight.
Yeah.
And they are good enough to grind other teams down. It's not just every time like Shohei comes up and hits a homer or something like that, right? Like they are capable of coming back like this, and they've done it several times. I think they lead the majors in come from behind wins. So, this team has that hasn't gone away. It just feels like they really just need this pitching to get healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to get to some super chats here. I know people are not happy with Tanner Scott. We'll go into the decision to bring him back out for a second inning in the 10th. But again, I just think about the vibes in this clubhouse. I don't imagine this is a group, Anthony, that would have allowed a 4-game losing streak in the middle of May to really get them down. And yet, they're human beings. They know the expectations. They feel the expectations. And so I can just imagine how much of a relief, right? Like, we talked about this before. Sometimes winning is less about happiness and more about relief. It feels like that's probably what tonight was relief that, okay, the 4-game losing streak is behind us. We didn't waste a Yoshi start, and we can move on now, sort of with a fresh slate, so to speak, moving forward.
Yeah, and I think relief is a good probably way to describe this one, because I think mainly because of the start Yamamoto gave him.
Yeah.
You can't have that guy on the mound do what he did and then go out and lose that game because you can't hit and because the bullpen was bad.
Yeah.
Or I should say because Tanner Scott was bad. And so I think being able to win that game is sort of a okay, we got out of that one alive, basically.
Yeah.
And because in these other games, like they've put themselves in early holes, right? The
Yeah.
starting pitching or the openers have been bad. And tonight they didn't have that excuse. I mean, the guy pitched as good a game as we've seen him pitch in this uniform.
Yeah.
And they almost choked it up.
But didn't. They
That's didn't, but they didn't. And they had the right guys at the right time coming up in that 10th inning. So I think relief is a really good way to sort of describe this one. Not just like you said, not just because of the losing streak, but I think just some of the things that were happening tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is the nature of the Dodgers. When Tommy Edman is leading off with the runner on second, and you have Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and Smith and Muncy as the five guys after him, I wasn't joking when I said this game was far from over. Obviously, it was more than light work, as I sort of jabbed at on social media. But I mean, 2 hits and this game could have been tied. Obviously, it got a little bit more complicated than that. But again, the Dodgers end up coming back from 2 runs down in the 10th inning, despite some more bullpen struggles, which I know we're going to get into. Let's get to some super chats. Again, thank you to everybody that's hopping in with us after that walk-off win live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We are grateful that you were here. Anthony, by the way, welcome back. I know you were gone engaging in some golf spectating and work simultaneously, I believe, this past weekend. So good for you. You got to see a good one down there. Maybe we'll ask a couple questions about it at the end. But let's get to some super chats. Bacon Tree, win at what cost? More bullpen arms done tomorrow. Offense always wants to screw Yamamoto over. Anthony, let's talk bullpen. The Dodgers came into this with more innings pitched than anybody out of the bullpen, 200.2 innings coming into this. Yamamoto gives them 7. And then, of course, they have to go into the 10th. So even though he gets 7 from your starter, it counts as 6, essentially. I want to talk about the decision to go to Tanner Scott for a second inning in the 10th. Of course, he blows it in the 9th by giving up a home run to Dodger killer Moreno, who only knows how to hit home runs off of the Dodgers, it appears. But they go to Smith. He threw 15 pitches in the top of the 9th inning. And I know there's going to be critiquing of that decision. I want to remind people what the options were, and then I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Basically, the only other 2 guys who were available out of the Dodger bullpen, one for sure, that's Anthony Banda, 33 pitches 2 days ago. He has a 4.5 ERA. So is that the guy you want in that spot? The only other guy who might be available was Lou Trevino, who is recently acquired off of the trash heap. Admittedly, he looked pretty good the other night, but he threw 41 pitches 2 days ago. Everybody else was down. You had Vesia, you had Kasperius, who had already pitched. Dreyer, 38 pitches yesterday. Sauer, 27 pitches yesterday. And then Garcia, he had pitched 3 consecutive days prior to yesterday. Shout out to Jacob Brownson for his chart of reliever usage. But 15 pitches for Scott. He's your best option by a mile, Anthony. I had no issue with the decision to go to Scott. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I just don't think Dave had a better hand to play there.
He was playing the hand that he had in his hand. It was not really all that surprising. And look, he's talked about this last week where, mainly in regards to right-handed relief pitching and just saying, sort of like, it's a mystery to me too right now, like what we're, how we're going to put that puzzle together. But I think, all of it plays into the fact that Tanner Scott went out for another inning and that the bullpen's already taxed. And, he's there with the guys that they have down, with the way that certain guys who are healthy are performing, including Scott at times. Yeah. They're trying to patchwork this thing together until they can get some more bodies in here, I think. And sometimes the best option is going to be going to a guy for a second inning who you might not have full trust in, but you got more trust in that guy than somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I'm not defending how Tanner Scott pitched tonight. I'll defend how he's pitched so far this season comparatively. but sometimes it's just logistics. Again, if Dave had just gone straight to Bonda and Bonda gives up the 2-run home run there, how quickly into the show, Anthony, do you think we're talking about why Tanner Scott didn't stay for a second inning after only 15 pitches, right?
Yeah. And I really do not like that second guessing, because a decision like that, people aren't really first guessing it. Like, if you understand all of the options on the table, like, no one is going to go, yeah, I trust Banda more than Scott after 15 pitches there. Like, even though he gave up the homer in the 9th, like, it's just, it's a whole bunch of bad options. And, you're trying to go with who you think can get you the 3 outs. And so, I'm with you. I wasn't surprised. And in all honesty, I probably thought it was the better choice of what the other choices might have been.
We can sit here and say it was a bad decision. I think we can all agree it was the best of maybe a bunch of bad options, I should say. That
also, they probably should have not been in that situation, because they only scored 1 run through 9 innings.
Yeah, I want to talk offense, but let's save that thought. Noah said, never let Tanner close again. Noah, with all due respect, tell me which of these names you would like closing games for the Dodgers. Bonda, Trevino, Dreyer, Sauer, Garcia, Vesia. The only guy I can think of is maybe Ben Kasparius. And I know he's like a popular name, and Ben Kasparius has been great. He got a huge out tonight, but it's not controversial to say Tanner Scott has been much better than Ben Kasparius this year, as good as Ben Kasparius has been. So that's my take. I don't know where you stand, Anthony. Would you give Ben Kasparius some closing opportunities given the health of the bullpen?
No, because I think his value is probably needed before that.
Yeah.
Given where the bullpen stands. I think that there's going to be situations where you need more than 3 outs from him. And so saving him for the 9th is probably not the best way to deploy him at the moment.
Yeah. And again, this is a pro Ben Kasparius. Tanner Scott came into this game with a 1-something ERA and a 21-1 strikeout to walk ratio. I'm not saying he's been vintage Tanner Scott and he's been perfect. Again, I would just implore you to look at the alternatives and say, one, even if you like Ben Kasparius, do you want Ben Kasparius, to your point, Anthony, out of the multi-inning, potentially bulk, potentially starting role / even a fireman role? And if not, do you really want him in that closing role? The FIP has been good, 1.98. That's fantastic. 3.26, the actual ERA there. So I'm pro Ben Kasparius. I think there might be a day where if he's not a starter, he could be a back end guy. But for right now, I know tonight wasn't Tanner Scott's night, but I think he's going to get the next opportunity as long as it's not tomorrow night. The sandwich, piggybacking, Tanner Scott is a federal agent for the Padres. In all seriousness, he's been good. His struggles tend to stick out, which is usual for any closer.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
That's a great take.
Yep. Absolutely. I thought this was going to go. Oh, well, here we go. Speaking of federal agents for divisional rivals, Noah says, should the Dodgers bench Michael Conforto for a few games? I thought this was going to say San Francisco Giants, federal agent Michael Conforto. Look, you know where I stand. Everybody knows where I stand on Michael Conforto. And if you think I'm going down with the ship, the water might be up to my nose, Anthony, but we're still getting occasional breaths. If we tilt our head a little bit, the right nostril, we get some air occasionally still. So we're hanging on tight, Anthony. I assume you are standing at shore mocking me on the Michael Conforto take. Where are you at?
I am. I've left the boat.
You're swimming away.
Yeah.
Recently, did you at least stay and hang out with me until the water got up to the chin, maybe?
I was there with you until I had to start putting my head up like that.
Okay.
And then I was out.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's fair. I get it. And folks, I'm just telling you, the redemption arc is only going to be sweeter, and none of you are allowed to enjoy it. Okay, only me. I'm just
kidding. I will say I'm not like DFA the guy. I'm not there, but I'm like we need to start taking the bat out of his hands a little more often.
Yeah,
whether that means days off or whatever. Like, okay, it's time. We need to start seeing some results too.
Yeah, and now they've got options with Teoscar Hernandez back. Hesson Kim obviously playing pretty well. So they've got options. Ivan says comparing Pages to Conforto this season is widely disrespectful to Pages, Jeff. Pages was bad 2 to 3 weeks max. Conforto is going on 3 months. LOL, shame. This is in response to something I said on social media, which was basically everything that people are saying about Michael Conforto, they were saying about Andy Pages about 4 weeks ago. If you think Pages struggled for 2 or 3 weeks max, I mean, I would just go rewind the tape and find what comments some of these people might have been playing on social media 6 weeks ago. My whole point was we gave up on Pages. I think a lot of people probably regretted selling all of their Pages stocks a little bit too soon. And Conforto has a longer track record of being successful. You can disagree that Conforto is going to figure it out, but I don't think I'm being disrespectful to Pages by saying Conforto had far higher expectations offensively than Pages did coming into the season, and therefore holding on hope a little bit longer on Conforto might not be totally unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree, and I think there's still room to see if Conforto can figure this out. Also, Pages was bad for more than a few weeks, but when he got hot, can't touch the guy.
Top 5 in Major League Baseball hot for a 30-day stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I'm not on the DFA train for Conforto, before May is over. But I do think it's time to start, putting other alternatives out there, a little more often instead of just running him out there every single day.
Yeah. Do you buy? I mean, everybody's sick of me talking about exit velocities with Michael Conforto tonight.
Sure.
He was terrible, so I'm not defending anything. I mean, do you buy? Like, are you seeing anything with Conforto? Sometimes I think we can just be slaves to the box score and it's 0 for 3 and that's bad, and 2 for 4 is automatically good. And look, I'm not saying 2 for 4 is bad, but I'm saying there are 2 for 4s that you don't wake up the next day assuming it's going to be another 2 for 4 based on how the last one looked. Are you seeing anything with Conforto that makes you believe the end of this slump is near, or you said you jumped off the boat. Like, has it just gone on too long at this point for you to still believe that the end is coming?
It's gone on too long, and we're also seeing other trends that are a little more discouraging than just the exit velo. He needs to pull the ball in the air more.
Yeah.
It seems like some of that hard exit velocity is coming on balls that are not hit to his power side, essentially. Yeah. And he's rolling over a lot on some of these and hitting them on the ground. I saw something this week that was looking at sort of hit the ball hard in the air the other way, harder to hit the ball out, harder to find the gap there, and hitting them on the ground to the pull side. And that's not a great recipe. So he's got to get some more lift on the ball to the pull side. I think if he were able to start doing that, then I think you start to see some different results.
Yeah, and I know Blake Williams was tweeting about that yesterday, and that was something we talked about on this show like a month ago. I remember diving into Conforto stuff a long time ago, and in pointing out specifically, look at his pull side in the air numbers. Mm-hmm. It was like 35% lower than last season, and we talked about if you're going to have power, it's going to be to your pull side. And so, to your point, he's pulling the ball, but it's a lot of ground balls. I think there's some bad batted ball luck for sure.
Absolutely.
But I also think I'm not naive to exit velocity does not tell the entire story. Launch angle is a part of that equation as well. Let's see some other super chats here. Hawaiian Kira, understand reason to be cautious with starters, but how long will the bullpen hold them up until they implode? Do you bring back a starter to save some bullpen arms? I mean, they're probably going to need to at some point. We might not like Robleski or Bobby Miller, but like one of these guys, it feels like has got to be due in the next week to come up and just eat innings, if not both of them, to try and save this bullpen.
Yeah, I don't think they can keep running bullpen games out there, given the way the bullpen usage is in those other 4 starts a week or 5 starts a week, whatever it is. They're going to have to remedy this in the near term until guys start to get healthy, because I don't think you can continue to do it as many times as they're doing it. Even when a guy gives you a gem, you're having to cover essentially 4 innings like that. It's not sustainable. And given the number of arms that they're already lacking in the bullpen, this iteration of the bullpen is going to implode much faster, than we're going to hope for.
Yeah, and I should clarify, Robleski, since he was just sent down a few days ago, he actually can't be called back up that quickly unless there's an injury.
Unless there's an injury, right? Yeah.
Or, those aren't famous last words. Those are famous first words, I think, for Dodgers fans, unless there's an injury. Bobby Miller pitched 2 days ago. It was his best start of the season. 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts, did have 4 walks. But hey, we're focusing on the positive tonight. So maybe it is Bobby Miller that ends up giving the Dodgers a breather here in, sometimes towards maybe this weekend. Bobby Miller versus the Mets. Please, Lord, don't do that to me. The sandwich. On a side note, Michael Conforto and Jack Flaherty have almost identical contract AAV. Can we swap them? Neither have been great. Flaherty is mediocre, but Conforto has been ugly at times. Look, a Jack Flaherty reunion, it would be popular. Let's just say that. He's a starting pitcher. He's going to pitch innings. He might not be perfect, but we all know what he did last season. He had some key moments. So at this point, look, I don't think they could get a bag of balls for Conforto on the open market right now, unless they were planning on eating the entirety of that salary.
No, yeah, totally. They have to let him fight his way through this thing. Because I don't think he's a trade option right now. Because who's going to want that guy at this moment? He's been bad. The offense has been bad. But they really need to figure the pitching out.
Yeah, absolutely. Fritz, what do you guys think about multiple intentional walks in the same inning? Let's break down the bottom of the 10th, because this is what Fritz is talking about. As always, thanks for the super chat. Thanks to the nearly 2,000 folks in here with us live. Runner on second base, Kike Hernandez to start the inning, down by 2. Tommy Edman, a leadoff double punched down the left field line, mishandled at the wall. He's at second, standing up with no issues. They intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani. That makes sense. You don't want to face him. Although, Anthony, with Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith behind him, do you really I know it's Ohtani. You put the winning run on in the bottom of the 10th inning. I know it's Ohtani, and I'm not trying to second guess. I think that's crazy, me personally.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Considering, it might be a different thing when Mookie is struggling, or maybe Freddie's kind of in one. But both those guys they've been fantastic.
And Will Smith's behind him. If you intentionally walk Ohtani, you've got 3 dudes that you have to be terrified of right behind him. And again, they end up putting the winning run on base. And what do you know it ends up coming back to bite them. Mookie Betts flies out to deep center, moves Edman to third. Ohtani ends up stealing second. This was the next big moment. So you've got Edman on third, Freddie Freeman up with runners at first and third. Ohtani steals second. I don't know about you. I got a text message. I won't throw anybody under the bus. It's nobody that comes on this show who said, should Ohtani have stolen second base there because Freddie Freeman ends up getting intentionally walked? I'm curious, had you gotten that text message from somebody, what would you have said? Would you have wanted to set the stage for Freddie Freeman to knowingly get intentionally walked there?
Yeah, I want that runner in scoring position.
100 million%. That's my answer. You put the game-winning run in scoring position, no questions asked. Yes, it might mean that Max Muncy ends up being the guy that needs to get you the knock, but I'm taking my chances with the runner in scoring position. So I'm with you entirely. They intentionally walk Freddie Freeman. Will Smith comes to the plate, the janitor. Working overtime in the 10th inning tonight. Hit by pitch. Look, it doesn't matter how it gets done, right? Maybe this was a spill in the gym, Anthony, and the mop was a little too far away. Janitor just gets down, maybe uses the sleeve of his shirt a little bit to get that. It's the janitor just gets the job done, and nobody asks questions. Okay, game tying hit by pitch for Will Smith, and then Max Muncy. I was so desperately hoping this ball went out. It didn't. It got caught. But plenty deep sac fly for Shohei Ohtani, and this game is over with. So at the end of the day, they put 2 runners on, and the Dodgers score on a hit by pitch, which only happens because of 2 intentional walks, and then the sacrifice fly. So I imagine the Diamondbacks are second guessing the things that they did in this game, but the Dodgers are the ultimate beneficiaries.
Yeah, it was only 1 hit, right, in that inning?
It was the Edman leadoff double. So it was basically like a sac fly, a move them over sac fly, a hit by pitch, and 2 walks.
Yeah. At this point, when there's runners in scoring position or runners on base, or just basically anytime, we have complete confidence in Will Smith right now. And he comes up
on the janitor, Anthony. Some people.
Yeah, the janitor. My bad.
Oh, he said it.
If anyone knows half baked, it's custodian.
Okay, hey, it's fine. We'll take any version of it. We'll accept.
My dad and I had text messages cross the ether at the same time to each other, and they both said, "Wow."
Yeah,
it was just, of course, Will Smith finds a way.
And shout out to Marcus Grant, by the way. I won't say which inning he texted me this in, but he did text a group that I am in. Max Muncy walk-off. Okay, so again, I'm not going to tell you what inning that text message came in, but it came true in the 10th. So shout out to Marcus Grant. Tim G, Starting pitching 24th in MLB and ERA. That's probably better than I expected. Dead last in innings pitched. Today was an exception. Hopefully the start of a new trend. Too many guys on the injured list. We do have a million injury updates to get you at the end of this one. I mean, Dave Roberts' press conferences pregame, I think, are just injury updates to the 9 dudes who are all rehabbing and at various points in their rehab. So, the Dodgers need help in starting pitching. Tony Gonsolin struggled the other night, but has been a godsend in that group. Dustin May has been a roller coaster, but at least he's been there the entirety of the season. And I mean, beyond that, Clayton Kershaw, who knows what you're getting start to start at this point as he works his way back into health. So, I hear you, Tim. It's not a pretty sight. Jonathan, always love to see Anthony on here. So there you go, Anthony. Get some love on his first time back in a week?
I'm still on. I'm fighting the East Coast time still. I got back yesterday afternoon. I felt it right around 9:00 last night. I was like, all right, I got to tap out. Yeah. I was very happy this game didn't go 11 innings tonight.
There you go. There you go. Salvador, what do you think of trading for pitchers to help the bullpen? Do you think the bullpen is going to need to be an area of for them to target? Or do you think with, their 4 best right-handed pitchers all on the injured list that maybe this is something that gets worked out internally?
We're still a long way from, I think, that having to be a real conversation. You just got to see if these guys can get healthy. If not all those guys can get healthy, yes, then you start to take a look at what you have as far as assets and what's out there, what's available. But yeah, right now, I don't think you can do too much right now because you don't know exactly what you have. I think part of this too is that what pitching do you trade from?
Yeah. Well, I think he's saying trading for pitchers to help the bullpen. So it wouldn't necessarily be trading from pitching.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I misread that. Yeah, yes, you're right. But I mean, even then, I think, look, for relievers, this organization is not going to give up its best prospects. I mean, it rarely gives them up anyway, but I think they're going to continue to like in the near term. We're a long way from say the mid-July when this has to become a real conversation or a more serious one. They're going to try to keep piecing this thing together as much as they can and just hope that they can keep it together until more guys are healthy.
Yeah. And I should add, with Gratterall, it's probably their 5 best right-handed pitchers who are all currently injured right now with Yates, Phillips, Trinan, and Kopech, who, again, we've got some injury updates for all those guys coming up as well. So thanks for all the super chats, folks. We appreciate that. Again, let's do a quick recap, Anthony, of how we got here. I mean, it's a shame. We're 30 minutes in. We haven't gotten to Yamamoto, but we're getting there. The Dodgers break this one open in the bottom of the 4th. Freddie, 2 outs, legs out a double. How'd you feel about Freddie Freeman pushing it for second base on a ball that most guys just stop at first? He's got a bum ankle, Anthony, and he's beating that thing out. And it turned out that it mattered because Will Smith, 109.8 mile an hour double with 2 strikes down the left field line, puts this at a 1-0 lead for the Dodgers.
Yeah, that was big. Where he hit that ball, I was like, I talked to the TV and I'm by myself watching this game, and he hit that ball and I saw where it dropped and I was like, go to. Yeah. Because I did think that he busted out of the box. Yeah. And he's kind of been doing this all season, even with that sort of bum ankle. Like he's been trying to take the extra bag when he can. So I wasn't too surprised, and he was fine. I would really good slide too, I thought.
Yeah. There's a couple guys on the Dodgers, I won't name names, who could learn a thing or two about where to slide on a base from Freddie Freeman. Worth pointing out again, I mentioned 109.8 mile an hour for Will Smith. This is the second time in the last week that he's hit a ball that hard, which is he hadn't hit a ball that hard in 2 years. He's now done it twice in the last week. And with 2 strikes, for him to be able to get that sort of bat speed and that sort of exit velocity, kudos to him. Bottom of the 6th, they almost repeat a 2-out double for Freddie Freeman, but Will Smith this time strikes out. Top of the 7th, Yamamoto's got a no-hitter going into this one, but it's a leadoff hit from Marte that breaks up the no-no. Steven Nelson on the broadcast had the stat. This was the first time a Dodger pitcher took a no-hitter into the 7th since Ryan Pepio a couple of years ago. Pass ball moves Marte to second base with nobody out, but he gets a ground out, a 4-pitch walk. They leave Yamamoto in with a lefty coming up and Alex Vesia warming. Again, a sign that is starting to tell you how Dave Roberts feels about his bullpen. They leave Yamamoto in with 104 pitches to face a lefty. The first pitch is a ball. It's his 5th consecutive outside of the strike zone, but then it's a nasty curve, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball perfectly placed on the knees, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball perfectly placed above the zone, a splitter that he misthrows, and then a strike on pitch number 110, a new career high for Yamamoto to get out of this one. An incredible performance for him, Anthony. The season ERA at this point is now down to 1.86, career high 110 pitches. The final line from Yamamoto, 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Come back to that. Let me just finish up a quick game recap. In the 8th, in the top of the 8th, Vesia comes in and proves why Dave Roberts trusted Yamamoto, because it's a leadoff double against him, a bunt single, but then he gets an infield pop out and a strikeout. An intentional walk from the Dodgers brings Kasperius in with the bases loaded. He gets away ahead 0-2 on Gurriel before a pitch clock violation, which made me almost put my head through a wall for ball 1, then ball 2, then a foul, then ball 3, and on a full count, he gets the strikeout to escape. So back-to-back innings, the Dodgers escape a bases-loaded jam. Yamamoto once, Kasperius the second time. Bottom of the 8th, the Dodgers threaten to add to their lead. Please, desperately, please, get this lead to 2. Ohtani, a 1-out double, but Betts and Freeman can't cash him home. And then Tanner Scott in the 9th. I was begging him on social media for my mental health, for Anthony's mental health, for the sake of this live show, get out of this one, but it's a 1-out home run for Moreno. The Dodgers don't do anything in the bottom of the 9th, despite putting some guys on base. Top of the 10th, 2-out, 1-out, 2-run, 1-out home run for Corbin Carroll off of Tanner Scott. But as we discussed, bottom of the 10th, double, walk, pop out, steal, walk, hit by pitch, sac fly, and the Dodgers win this one. So let's talk Yamamoto, Anthony. He was dominant. No hit bid into the 7th. I mentioned the line, 7 innings, just the 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. You said you think it was his best performance he's ever had as a Dodger. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I think from a stuff standpoint, a command standpoint, a just sort of general command of the game standpoint, this is as good as he's looked. Maybe that World Series game against the Yankees too, I think game 2 was really, really good, but this seemed more dominant. And you know, I think he gave up 1 hit in that World Series start, and it was the home run. But this just felt more like he looked more untouchable tonight than he did in that start. Those are the 2 that stand out for me, I think. For me, for my money, with the way he was throwing that curveball, keeping guys off balance, I think this is the best he's looked as a Dodger so far. I mean, it was thoroughly impressive.
Yeah, and it's ironic because the command was a little bit all over the place. A lot of counts that started out 1-0 rather than 0-1. But I think the number that jumps out to me from Yamamoto, normally when we talk about a dominant pitcher, it's going to the whiff rate. And it's like, oh man, they were just swinging and missing all night. I mean, 10 whiffs on 42 swings, 24% whiff rate. That's like solid. That's not amazing. But the number that jumps out to me, Anthony, and tells me that this guy was dialed in, he got 20 called strikes. He got 10 whiffs and 20 called strikes because he had these guys guessing. They had to respect the fastball, which had some life. They had to respect the curveball. They had to respect the splitter. And he mixes in a cutter and a sinker every once in a while. And all of a sudden, these guys had no clue what was coming, and he was landing everything, it seemed like, for strikes when he needed it to. So, yes, he got some solid swing and miss. But when you're throwing 5 different pitches and they have to take all of them seriously, it leaves them guessing, and 20 called strikes will do that to you.
Yeah, and I didn't think the command, like the first pitch strike stuff, was that big of an issue because he was painting.
Yeah.
And I thought some of that, some of what we would normally say might be command issues, were I think just him nibbling a lot, because and a lot of these called strikes too. Because when you mentioned the whiff rate, the first thing my mind jumped to was, man, a lot of these pitches on the black and on the border of the strike zone were taken. And I think that's the command part I was talking about.
Yeah,
where guys are watching that fastball, and even if they were looking fastball, what are you going to do with the ball that's on the bottom, low and away corner? I mean, he was putting it there where kind of whenever he wanted in big spots too.
Yeah.
It was really, really impressive. And that's why I'm saying, like, not to compare like the situation, obviously a World Series game versus a start in May. But just from if you don't know what the context is and you just watch him pitch, man, this was really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think to your point, like where these balls were landing in the strike zone, think about how many fastballs he threw in the bottom half of the strike zone. And again, if you're standing up there, knowing that he has the splitter, knowing that he has the curveball, if that ball starts out at your knees, what are you going to do?
Right.
Like you're either going to, you feel like I'm definitely about to swing right over the top of a splitter or a curveball. And instead, by the time you figure out that it's a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball, to your point, it's painted on the black. And so we have to mention, this was Yamamoto's superpower coming over from Japan, was his command, his ability to throw a bunch of pitches exactly where he wanted him to. And oh, by the way, the splitter, the curveball, all that stuff is nasty on top of it. So, I mean, this is what an ace does, Anthony. And that's kind of where I want to land the plane on Yamamoto. 4-game losing streak, your best guy. He struggled. He struggled against this team 2 starts ago. And what does he do? He says, give me the ball and I will end this. I will do this by myself. 6 no-hit innings. I will take the ball through the 7th. I've got this, everybody. And of course, the offense didn't fully cooperate until the 10th. But this was ace-type stuff from Yamamoto. And I think he's clearly established, even when everybody is healthy, Anthony, this is the ace of the Dodgers right now. And I think, I'm not saying tonight was the coming out party necessarily, but if you had any doubts, they were silenced tonight.
He's an ace.
Yeah.
He's an ace.
And we knew that, but I want to be clear. This is their ace. Like Blake Snell's an ace. Glasnow, when he's healthy, is an ace. Yeah. Yamamoto is the ace of this team. Those other guys are aces. Yamamoto is the ace.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. And there are maybe 10 of those guys in baseball.
Yeah.
And he is not only one of them. I mean, he's making a case for himself as being not just the one on this staff, but the one, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned a 1.8 ERA, 1.86 ERA on the season. And again, in the biggest moment, he came up in this one. Let's shift gears a little bit. Well, let me do this. Any last thoughts on this game, Anthony, before we go to some injury updates and get some questions? Is there anything else that you want to talk about from this game specifically? We could talk box score. The Dodgers, Ohtani 1 for 4 with a walk. Mookie Betts 1 for 5. Freddie Freeman 2 for 4, a pair of doubles. Will Smith 1 for 3, 2 RBIs, a walk, and of course the hit by pitch. Max Muncy 1 for 3 with the RBI, the walk, and the sac fly that won it. Pages 0 for 4, Conforto 0 for 3, Kike Hernandez 0 for 4, Hetsung Kim 0 for 2, Tommy Edman 1 for 2 with a run and an RBI as well. So, I mean, I guess offensively, we can talk about the fact that 6, 7, 8, 0 for 11 combined. I mean, 9 Hetsung Kim, that'd be 0 for 13 until Tommy Edman. It was an 0 for 14 stretch from the bottom of the lineup. Coming into that 10th, obviously Edman does his job and the top of the lineup is good enough, but the offense, Bill Plunkett had this stat, and I think it is worth pointing out. As bad as the offense was tonight, can we at least acknowledge that over the last 16 games, the offense is averaging 7 runs a game? Like, I know the offense was bad tonight, but let's not make it out to be something it isn't. Pitching has been this team's problem. The offense didn't get it done for most of the night tonight, but this was an anomaly over the last few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. The offense is not a problem overall. It just wasn't good tonight. Pitching is the issue. A lot of that is due to the options on the roster and who's available at the moment. But the last thing I'll say is we've kind of bagged on the bullpen tonight, mainly Tanner Scott. But the guys before him who took over after Yamamoto, they deserve some credit for keeping the game where it was, because they got themselves into some jams and they got themselves out. Vesia was a little bit of a roller coaster there, but him and Hesperius, came up big in a incredibly high leverage situation. So those guys deserve some credit too.
Yeah, on offense, when it's a bloop single, you say it's a line drive in the box score. On a night like tonight for Alex Vesia, you know what it is? It's a 0 in the earned run column tonight. So he's got that. One other thing, this is me nitpicking. In the bottom of the 9th, Will Smith walks to lead off. Teoscar walks with 2 outs. They had runners on first and second, and Kike Hernandez coming up. We know what Kike's reputation is in October in the postseason. Was there any thought in your mind that maybe they go to a guy like Dalton Rushing in that spot? Kike, I love the guy for what he does in October. He's going to be here for the rest of the season because of what he does in October. He looked pretty bad tonight. I was slightly surprised. I'm not trying to nitpick. I was slightly surprised that Dalton Rushing wasn't the choice there.
I think if the score is 3-0, maybe you see him. And in a 1-0 game, you're not exactly sure how it's all going to play out in the next half an hour or so.
True.
So I think he probably doesn't want to burn the backup catcher at that point.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Again, you knew you had the top of the lineup coming up in the 10th, but maybe you think there's a spot if this goes to 11 where Rushing can come up in an even bigger spot than that one. They did have some defensive players because Teo had come in. They could have made the defensive positioning work there, I think. But yeah,
if they were down 1-0, maybe you see him.
Yeah. But in a tie game, you're saying, take your chances with Kike and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I think so.
Fritz, despite it being only May, next handful of teams have winning records. Are we playing better than 500 ball at the end of that run? So we're looking at the upcoming schedule. Obviously, they've got the Mets, the Yankees, I believe, are in this mix as well. But with all the teams that they've got coming up, Anthony, again, the Mets this weekend, the Diamondbacks, they've got another game there. So it's 1 against the Diamondbacks, at 3 in New York, 3 in Cleveland, and then 3 at home against the Yankees, 4 at home against the Mets before they travel to St. Louis and then San Diego, San Francisco, San Diego. So, I mean, really through June 19th, that's a gauntlet that the Dodgers are about to run through. What do you think? Like when we pick up here on June 20th, heading into, you and I will be on, presumably, or I guess I'll be on potentially with Bruce on June 19th after the end of a Padres series. And when we look at that, when we look back on the month that will have just happened against a bunch of good teams, what do you think we'll be saying?
I think in terms of games above 500 and where they currently sit in the standings, it's going to look pretty similar to what it does now, I think.
Okay.
Because I think the pitching's not going to be completely healthy through that entire thing. Like it's not, they're going to get everybody back at the same time and they're all going to be ready for that run. So they're going to struggle there. I think the pitching is still going to be not great, I think, for a little while. But those other teams also have to deal with for the moment, knock on wood, a healthy, dynamic offense that is performing now. And so they're going to need that to carry them. Yeah.
And I think between Yamamoto, May, and Gonsolin, you're still going to get enough quality starts. I don't mean literal quality starts, 6 innings plus 3 earned runs or more. I don't know if we can count on that, but I think you're going to get some good starts out of those 3 guys. I think Knack's going to be pretty good from time to time. Like I think you're going to be able to patch it together. Yeah. I think you're going to be able to patch it together a little bit on the pitching front. And to your point, if the offense can continue averaging 6.75 runs, which is, I think, what they're at over the last 2 or 3 weeks, then I think the Dodgers, even against good competition, are going to win a bunch of games. So, all right. Let's get to some injury updates, Anthony. Dave Roberts is making himself busy by having to answer a bunch of questions. As you'll find out, he doesn't necessarily know everything about everyone, but the list of guys on this injury update: Ohtani, Kopech, Glasnow, Snell, Sasaki, Phillips, trying to know. That is not the NL All-Star team. That is the Dodgers injured list. And those are just the guys who have updates coming in. So let's run through these. It's worth pointing out as a headline, Anthony, Dave Roberts said yesterday, with most of our guys where we're at now, we've got to make sure we nail it as far as getting them back and not rushing them to have them back for the last third of the season. So as I give you all of these updates, hear them through the lens of Dave Roberts telling you the goal is August, September, October. And so we're going to slow play these guys. We're going to be cautious. We're going to be careful. And that's how we're going to handle it. So the first update, Ohtani threw breaking balls on flat ground today. Still no timeline for facing hitters, but the fact that he mixed in breaking balls is good news. Michael Kopech, good news. He pitched today. Matt Moreno and I were on here a couple days ago, and Matt seemed nervous about when we were going to see Kopech pitch. Good news, he pitched. Bad news, he stunk. 6 batters faced, 3 hits, and a walk, just 2 outs for him. He should have 2 to 3 more appearances. Has to be activated by June 7th. So I have a feeling that June 7th might be around when we see Michael Kopech back. Tyler Glasnow, early stages of throwing program. He's out to 120 feet today. No bullpens scheduled for him before the Dodgers leave town on Thursday. Blake Snell, this was where Dave Roberts kind of did the shrug emoji a little bit. He did watch him throw. He said, I don't know if it was 60 feet or 90 feet, but he said he looked good. So again, Glasnow 120 feet, Snell 60 to 90, in case you're wondering where those two guys are at in comparison. Roki Sasaki, how's his throwing going? Well, he's not picking up a baseball at the moment. Dave does think he is pain-free, but he is not picking up a baseball. Evan Phillips, PRP injection for pain, out for a while, not playing catch. Blake Trinan, played catch for a third time, quote, baby steps. Stop the stopwatches. There is your Dodgers 6.5-minute injury update. Anthony, when you hear all of those updates, give me the good, the bad, the ugly. What jumps out to you?
The bad is that no one's throwing bullpens. None of the starters are close.
Yeah, not close at all.
That's bad. And then also bad is that Kopech can't seem to find it in the rehab assignments.
It's tough. I think this is his 4th appearance. It was embarrassingly bad, good, okay, and back to him. I mean, this wasn't embarrassingly bad. The first one was embarrassingly bad. He at least got 2 guys out today. But these are the types of performances that are not inspiring confidence for a Dodgers bullpen that desperately needs him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, it's not great, right? I think the biggest thing is that none of those starters that you mentioned are anywhere close to coming back. And that's really where I think they need the reinforcements. That's what's going to help the bullpen as well. I mean, and so until then, it's the guys you just mentioned about 5 minutes ago. You know, it's Yamamoto, obviously. It's Gonsolin, May, and Knack every now and then, Kershaw. Like you really got to rely on these guys to try to find the light, when they do get the ball.
Yeah, well, I have good news for you, Anthony. Optimistic Jeff is here. And folks, if we're talking Dodgers updates, can I interest you in some optimism? Folks, Shohei Ohtani's throwing breaking balls. Anthony, he hadn't done that before. That's good news. Here's some more good news. Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell, heard of them. They're pretty good pitchers when they're healthy, rarely healthy, but that's not part of the optimistic side. Those guys are playing catch, Anthony. 60 feet, 90 feet, 120 feet, who cares? They're picking up baseballs and they're throwing them every once in a while. So far, we're not hearing about any pain. That's optimism, Anthony. That's positive. The trajectory is, what is it? Up and to the right is what we want. That's what it feels like with some of these guys. Kopech, yeah, he stinks, but he's throwing baseballs, Anthony. He is throwing baseballs. That's the key here. Sasaki, did I mention pain-free? Not throwing baseballs, but pain-free, Anthony. Evan Phillips, there's no optimism. Blake Trinan, playing catch. Anthony's picking up baseballs and he's throwing them. That's what these guys are paid millions of dollars to do. These are all good news things, except for Evan Phillips. Lots of good news, Anthony. Good news only.
You get the Last Dance, the security guy with the curly hair. Shrug emoji.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel it. Hey, that guy's a winner. Optimism abounds, folks. Optimism abounds. Dodgers pitchers up and to the right, baby. We're coming back. We're coming back. All right. Let's get to some questions. If you've got any questions, all caps questions, throw those in the chat. We've got a couple super chats we're going to get to. Phil, did Bergman get DFA'd like Austin Barnes to bring up Bruce? Bruce is great, by the way. If you missed the announcement, Bruce Kuntz is going to be hopping on our show on a somewhat weekly basis with me. Usually it's going to be on a Thursday night time slot. This week, it'll be on Wednesday night. Bruce is amazing. We have a prospect video up that he and I did going through the top, 10-ish, and then a bunch of guys you may not have ever heard of who are awesome for the Dodgers farm system. So Bruce is going to be on with us. But no, Greg did not get the Austin Barnes treatment. Greg's a busy guy, ESPN LA guy. So the schedule just got a little busy for him. So Bergman will be back at some point. But until then, Bruce is going to be filling in on those shows. So we appreciate the super chat, Phil. Zip code 0. Where is Freeland in the third base conversation this or next season? Why do we need McMahon? Ryan McMahon, a trade target. The Dodgers reportedly have expressed interest. If you believed every report that said the Dodgers have expressed interest, you might be right, but that doesn't mean they're calling. I'm curious on Freeland. Bruce, which I appreciated this. He told me he had a hot take for me when it came to Alex Freeland. And I was like, all right, I'm excited for this. And he starts off the take by saying, well, I think Conforto stinks. And so I think he's going to stop playing and they're going to be able to shuffle the outfield. And Tommy, I'm like, dude, this is not a hot take. Everybody in my mentions thinks Conforto stinks. And he said, no. But the hot take is that I think Ha-Seong Kim is going to be playing second base. And then Alex Freeland is going to steal his job by the end of the year. That was Bruce's take. Again, he's a prospect guy. Alex Freeland's been awesome. So I know that's not the question. Zip Code Zero says the third base conversation, but what do you think about Bruce's take that maybe Alex Freeland inserts himself into the second base conversation this season?
That would have to mean Muncy is tearing the cover off the ball again,
which he kind of is. Been playing well.
It would have to mean Hae-Sung Kim's tools and what is going well for him currently maybe starts to tank.
Yeah, there's definitely some regression, I think, built in.
Yeah, and that Freeland's going to hit big league pitching.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of assumptions here.
Totally. That's what makes it a hot take.
Yeah. I would like to see Freeland up. Currently, the way the roster is looking, I would not want him to take the job away from Kim unless Kim just, again, regresses to the point that he becomes unplayable at the big league level. Then, okay, I'll hear you out. But if he's still giving you something, I would like to see what other options they have for Freeland in terms of, where he can play.
Yeah.
Because I think there can be room. I think there's a world where this roster exists that both of them can get playing time.
Yeah, absolutely. Muncy, over the last week or so, I should say the last couple weeks, I mean, the batting average is up 30 points. The slugging percentage is up like 70 points. So look, he almost walked this thing off in the ninth inning. I mean, he roped the ball. He's had a couple that he's just a tick early on. So yeah. I don't know about you. I've been super encouraged by Max Muncy over the last couple of weeks because I believed that at some point this was going to turn around, and he feels locked in. He feels like he's making solid contact, even if it's like everything's clicking at 95%. It feels like we're getting closer to 100% dialed in Max Muncy.
Yeah, I have not been worried about Muncy now for a little while. I thought when I saw the approach in at bats change a little bit, I sort of just took my eyes off him and was like, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then sort of focused my sights on Conforto and jumping off the ship that you were on, or still are on. The thing with Freeland too is I do wonder how the organization views him as a big leaguer, because it's been a little curious to me that like there hasn't been more fuss about him coming up, that they brought Kim up first.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I think, was on the 40-man roster. That's worth pointing out. When he signed a contract, it was a major league contract,
yes,
which meant spot on the 40-man. So he did have that advantage.
Freeland was on the 40-man.
What's that? Freeland is not on the 40-man.
Okay. That makes more sense then. Then I would say that's a red hot take because they've already got rid of Barnes and Taylor.
Wow, Rojas is just sitting there begging.
He is. It then means though one of your young guys is just going to come up. Aside from Rushing, who's already kind of in this boat, they're kind of not going to play.
Yeah, totally. I think, again, I want to be clear. This was a hot take from Bruce, and I'll define hot take as something you don't necessarily think is going to happen, but maybe something you believe to be more likely than anybody else. I don't think anybody thinks the scenario he painted is greater than like a 5% outcome. And so I appreciated sometimes you step out there and say, it's his way of saying, I believe in Alex Freeland a lot. I don't think he was crapping on Hae-Sung Kim. I think he's just saying, I think Alex Freeland is this good. I've heard from people that are have written about Alex Freeland that the organization is really high on him. He was one of the only Dodger prospects that seemed to be in the top 50, 60 in like every single list. You had DePaula and Hope, who were high on some, low on others. Freeland's kind of right smack in the middle. They think he can play defense at short, by the way. Bruce said they think he can play second, or he thinks Freeland can play second and third as well. So we'll see. I think he's going to get a chance at some point. I think when it's nut crunching time down towards the end, Miguel Rojas, and when like playing time isn't a deterrent because Freeland's been sitting at OKC for so long, I think at some point Freeland's going to get a chance, and we'll see what he does with it.
I think he's young enough, and if it is true that they believe in him like that, why start his clock if you're not going to play him?
Yeah. again, I'm thinking it's either the only thing that would have to happen is if there's an injury and some playing time opens up, which nobody's rooting for. Or if Ha-Seong Kim, for whatever reason, goes on a massive slump. Again, I would say unlikely. Or third, like we're talking about expanded rosters towards the end of the season. And everybody's been talking about how bad AAA is right now. So as much as we say out loud, man, like he needs to be getting at bats every single day, I do think there's a growing number of people, it seems like, within the baseball world that are starting to question if at bats every single day at AAA are really that much of an upgrade over, 7 at major league at bats in a week kind of a thing.
I think for guys still in development, it is. I think it matters. Like, if you're getting 7 at bats a week, not great.
And I think there's a case to be made. Freeland is a fully cooked product at this point. Like developmentally, sure, but I don't think this is a guy that like it would be a stretch or accelerating a timeline developmentally for him to be at the major league level.
Sure. I also don't think he's necessarily like forcing their hand right now. Like,
yeah,
he's not so great offensively that they're like, he wasn't Dalton Rushing, right? Like,
totally.
And so I think there is something there too. Like, he's been good with the bat, but he hasn't been great. And so I think you mentioned the Rojas situation in all of this. I think if they go away, if they move Rojas out, I think right now it's more likely that they bring in another veteran infielder than bring up Freeland.
Okay. And Bodie, Michael Chavis are both guys that are down to AAA. So if you wanted to go that route, they've got some guys who have played. To your point,
I just think for a couple of starts a week, I don't think they start the guy's clock because he's only 23.
Yeah. Yeah. And the 40-man roster thing, I think, is a real deal. So I'm with you on that one. He tore the cover off the ball, by the way. March and April has struggled in May. Jedi Engineer, how many more starts in center do you give Kim? Like 0? Is 0 an option here? I mean, Tommy Edman, they said he wasn't playing center the other night just because they're trying to ease him back in from his ankle. This would be 0 if it were up to me, Anthony.
Yeah, I think Paz has been fine enough in center. The defensive numbers like him, actually. Paz.
Yeah, it's just wild to me.
So I think if that's the case, like, just put him in center field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could put Edman. You're saying even if Edman needs a day off, then just put Pages in.
Yeah. Like, if the options are Pages or Kim, just put Pages in center.
I don't think it was a coincidence, by the way, that Kike Hernandez was playing center field tonight, not Ha-Seong Kim, for what it's worth. Cole says Jeff had 3 glasses of lemonade tonight. Calm down, Jeff. Have you had, Poppy? Have you had this stuff? It's like low sugar
soda,
prebiotics soda.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I had a leftover
$7 a can or whatever.
Yeah, geez Louise, tell me about it. I got some for a party, and I had a ginger lime one left over. So I mean, that's an obvious what we're doing with that. We're pouring a little brown stuff into the bottom of that glass, and we're dumping a ginger lime poppy over the top. So we're fine. We could drive right now, folks. We'll put it that way.
There we go.
Let's see. Wants to know, what are your thoughts on Will Smith's game calling? Going from 0-2 to an outright walk sometimes kills the momentum instead of being aggressive. Are the Dodgers way too cautious with game calling? Man, I think he's awesome at game calling, but what do you think, Anthony?
I don't have any issues with how he calls games. Sometimes it's just you got to execute the pitch also.
Yeah, absolutely. Scooter, how long until we see Freeland take over and get called up? We just had this conversation, so sorry for throwing that one back up. Hopefully you got your answer. Padmeep says, before the sweep against the Angels, the Dodgers had won 5 of 6 series, tied the D-backs. With D-backs, Mets, Guardians, and Yankees, Mets again, Cardinals coming up. Predictions for series wins. So they've got 3, 4, 5, 6. Their next 6 series, Anthony. How many of those do the Dodgers win? I believe they're all 3-game series, so they can't tie any of these unless my math is really, really bad and I missed a 4-gamer somewhere in there. Excuse me. One of the second Mets series is a 4-game series. So they can tie one of these if you really wanted them to, Anthony.
Win D-backs. Is the Mets series is on the road, right? This first one?
Yep.
Lose Mets.
Okay.
Win
Guardians
Cleveland.
on the road.
Win Cleveland.
Okay. And then you got Yankees at home, Mets at home.
Win Yankees, win Mets, win Cardinals.
Cardinals on the road. Okay. So you're going 5-1. Is that right?
Yeah.
Everyone but the Mets on the road.
You said the second Mets one is a 4-gamer?
4-gamer. You want to go split?
I'll go split there.
There
Yeah,
you
I'll
go.
go split.
5-1 sound a little too homerish, so let's go 4-1-1. I like that from you. I'll go 3-1-2. I think they split that Mets series. They might lose tomorrow, which will make for a super fun post-game show with Bruce tomorrow night. But I think they win 3 of the other ones. And to your point, I think they're going to be fine at the end of this stretch.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm with you on that.
JRM, how many more pitches will be on the injured list by the All-Star break? It doesn't feel like we'll be net positive in this one. All the guys we just gave updates for, I don't know how many of them will be back before the All-Star break. Ohtani is after the All-Star break. I mean, maybe Emmett Sheehan, maybe he feels like he's the pitcher that's closest to returning. But he's a starter on the starter side. Bullpen side, Kopech will be back. So, I mean, if Sheehan and Kopech come back before the All-Star break, Anthony, does that make the Dodgers net positive or net negative in guys that head to the injured list between now and then?
It's going to still be a net negative, is my guess.
Okay, 3 guys on the injured list. I love it. Hallelujah. Do you think they convinced Shohei to take DH off when pitching and plan to give those at bats to Rushing and Smith? Do you think that's part of the conversation? Is Ohtani maybe doesn't hit on days he pitches in order to get Dalton Rushing some extra at bats?
No, I think they want him hitting because the DH rule, which was essentially redone because of Ohtani, like gives them some more flexibility and freedom with him. I would think he's going to hit.
Yeah, every single day. Shohei Ohtani. You get him in there whenever and wherever possible.
He just probably won't be stealing bags on those days.
Yeah. Fritz wants to know, can we call the ginger, lime, poppy, and brown the up and to the right? That's fine. It's an up and to the right. Optimistic. That's
nice.
The optimistic is good. I'm not, as we've shared on this show, if I typically am going for something, I'm not a big whiskey bourbon guy, but that felt like the right thing. I'm more of a tequila gin type of person myself. I know you're tequila. What's the other one that you like? That's sort of like, it's like tequila. I forget what it's called. Añejo?
Yeah, that's tequila.
Okay. It's tequila. What's the other one? Isn't there something that's basically like tequila, but it's different?
Mezcal?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. But you're Añejo. That's just smoky tequila.
Yeah, it's a little finer, different aging process, a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Añejo is going to be smoother going down than the Blancos or the Reposados. Typically,
this question was tailor made for Anthony. River wants to know: is it weird to not like avocado? Yes, but love guacamole.
That feels weird to me. Yeah,
because you don't like either, right?
I'm not. I don't hate either. I just I'm not rushing to put it on like anything that I'm eating.
You're not like if you're making tacos and guacamole is sitting right there, it's not going on your taco.
No.
Are you dipping chips in it?
No, especially not if there's salsa.
What kind of salsa are we talking?
Something spicy,
like pico de gallo, or are you more of like a, I don't know what you call that, like a...
No, because I don't do onions like that.
Wow. We're just ripping things off the table here when we're making tacos.
This isn't news to anybody on the chat. I'm not a huge fan of, I won't say I hate it. Because if it's in something and that's how it comes, I'll eat it. It's fine.
Okay.
I just don't see what the big fuss is. My palate, avocado doesn't jump out at me. Again, I don't hate it. I don't think it tastes disgusting. I don't like, the things I won't eat are onions and mayonnaise.
Onions and mayonnaise. Just out on those two things.
Yeah.
That you haven't heard this. I was with a friend and their kids were there. I have no idea where their kid learned this. They eat a jelly and mayonnaise sandwich, Anthony.
What the hell?
That's bonkers. And I'm not mayonnaise. I don't actively seek out mayonnaise. If it's on something, I typically won't ask them to take it off. But yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. So there we go. Yeah, and you are, as you clarify, you're in on cilantro.
I like cilantro. I think there's good flavor there.
So, but pico de gallo without onions isn't really pico de gallo, but that type of thing, diced tomatoes, cilantro, lime juice, you'd be into all those things It just
Like,
typically comes with onion.
and I understand that sometimes there's onions in this stuff. I can eat, like, if onions are, like, really fine, I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. Like, the flavor of onions when it's like that or cooked with things, like,
Grilled
that's okay.
onions.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm just getting full on onion flavor in something,
Yeah.
I'm out.
So Scott, I believe, does the like slice of onion, In-N-Out burger, slice of onion. I think it's called the Flying Dutchman with no bun. It's just 2 whole rounds full all the way through of onion. That you're out on that?
Yeah, keep it in Holland. I'm good on that. Like,
Uh,
but, like, I'll eat, like, ceviche.
French onion dip. How do we feel about French onion dip?
Meh.
Are you like like it's salsa aside, chips and dip? Are you a big chips and
Nah,
dip guy?
like, if I'm gonna eat chips with and dip them in something, it's gonna be spicy.
Little, oh man, I love chips and French onion dip.
See, but when you say things like that, my reaction is the one you just gave me because I'm like, nothing. There's nothing better than salsa.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just variety. It's a very different
Okay,
experience.
so if you don't like the variety of salsa you can get is like you wouldn't even need another condiment.
I mean, look, I think there is a variety. I'm not saying all salsa tastes the same. I don't know if we're getting past like 4 flavor profiles on different types of salsa here, though. How many different ingredients are we talking that I can actually taste and sort of magnify? We got tomatillos over here. Great.
Bro,
We
you
can
should
maybe
look at
do
my
some
pantry. I got
chipotle.
like 17 different kinds of chili in there right now.
All right. Touche. Love French onion dip, little spinach and artichoke dip. It's great. The artichoke jalapeno dip is great. Buffalo chicken dip
See,
is
all of
great.
that stuff is like a meal. You're dipping chips into a meal.
It's like basically all mayonnaise. I mean,
It's
that's why
all
you don't like
heavy
any
as
of this
hell.
stuff because it's a lot of mayonnaise involved in everything I just said.
That's like a gut bomb every time you put it in your mouth.
Well, it's delicious. Look, I mean, if we just said crossed everything off that's a gut bomb, Anthony, there'd be a lot of fun things that aren't around anymore. All right. I mean, I know salsa, you can convince yourself that you're eating your vegetables over here, but it's still tortilla chips you're shoving down your throat at the same time.
Oh, I
So
put salsa on everything. It's not just chips.
I mean, what's the craziest thing you'll put salsa on?
I don't know. I mean, Nate, give me some examples.
Like if you're
of what
making
you
a
think is
sandwich,
crazy.
would you throw salsa on a sandwich?
No, because the breads get soggy.
Okay. I mean, it's like you said salsa on
Yeah.
anything,
I'm
so I got to
not a
ask.
maniac.
Yeah, well, I mean, the avocado take, some people would disagree. Let's see. I mean, what's a salsa on a burger? I've had salsa on a burger. That's fine, like the right type of burger. But that's
Yeah,
not like a
I mean,
norm. That's like a variety.
sure.
What else? I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, like if you're making a chicken breast, you'll throw some salsa right on top of that.
Absolutely.
Chicken thighs. I forget, are you a breast or thighs guy?
Oh, I eat the whole chicken.
Yeah, that's true. I've come around on breasts. It wasn't that excuse me, thighs. It's not that I ever like avoided them, but I started cooking them and a friend explained why. And a lot harder to screw up with for a cook like me. I like that, easier to cook and a lot harder to screw up. Salsa on a hot dog.
I've done that. Yeah.
Okay. Just like straight, just bread, meat, salsa.
Yeah. I like how some people would use ketchup or mustard or something like that.
Okay, let's see.
I put it in soup. I put it like in albondigas and
Oh,
chicken
that's a great
soup
question.
or like all that stuff. I put it in
How do
all
you
of
feel
that.
about sweet salsas? Mango, pineapple.
Oh
type
man. Okay. Okay. Here is speaking to me. So one of the things I will do, this is
I couldn't tell. I can't tell right now if you're going to tell me that fruit salsas are the bane of your existence or if you're absolutely in love with them. I literally have no idea where this is headed.
All right. So one of especially when I have like a beef taco, like some of the hottest salsa that I have in that pantry, I'll bring out, or some of the hottest chili, and then I will dice or like mash pineapple.
Okay.
So it'll be in one little container, it'll be the salsa, and another container, it'll be the pineapple, and I'll put both on a taco like that.
Yeah.
Cool. The fire and the sweet.
Yeah.
Money.
This is probably going to get me made fun of. I don't know how people feel about Baja Fresh. I didn't eat it one for the longest time. They have a bunch by me. They have like a mango salsa that I'm in on fruit salsa with the caveat of if you put like a good pico de gallo in front of me, I could eat until I was asleep and there's just tomato juice dripping down my cheek. The mango salsa, the fruit salsas, like I can do like 12 to 15 chips and love it. But at some point, I'm like, I'm out on this. There's a threshold that I cross, I think, with fruit salsas where I can only handle so much. So
Yeah, I tend to not do like too many fruit salsas. Like I got some in there, like there's some blueberry stuff in there that I got
oh,
but that's like super spicy. Um,
blueberry salsa?
there's blueberry in it. It's not like the
Wow,
whole, yeah,
I've not heard that.
I search these things out, man. Like I'm
Okay.
not just going to the regular grocery store and picking them off the shelf here.
You're not just going to Ralph's and picking whatever, like just room temperature right off the shelf. They got it going on over there, huh?
Right. Now, I mean, that's not to say that there's not some good salsas
That's true.
at a regular grocery store, but so you don't get 17 or 20 or 25 in your pantry, whatever there is in there, taking up room by just going to Ralph's.
Phil says pretty much all food is just a delivery vehicle for sauce. Don't besmirch salsas, Jeff. Look, I'm pro salsa. I want to make this abundantly clear. And I completely agree. Food as a delivery vehicle for sauce, that's pretty much where I stand. Sauce is fantastic. The people in my life that are the psychopaths are the ones that just like don't like sauce of any kind. They don't dip their chicken nuggets in something. They don't put sauce on their burgers. Like, look, some of these things are great. I've said this. This is my taco. The origin of my taco take is that if you need cheese on your taco, it's because you haven't put enough seasoning on your meat or enough salsa, sour cream, guacamole, whatever, sauces. If I could just put all that stuff in one bigger category, you just need more of that. That's my take on why I don't need cheese, because I don't need cheese if I've got a good enough salsa going on with my tacos.
That's fair. I'm thinking about it as you say that, and like I can't think of too many foods that I don't put something like that on. Maybe like a really good steak. I
Yeah.
won't obviously, and I won't use A1 on a steak or anything like that. I'm not. So, but yeah, I would mostly agree with that take.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I love that. River and Solon style, literally one after another, says L take Jeff, immediately followed by W take. So that's beautiful. We're landing the plane right there. Half the audience thinks I'm a psychopath, and half the audience thinks I'm right. So there you go. We're gonna go out on that note, folks. In case you didn't notice, the Dodgers won. Optimism, baby, up and to the right. The Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks. They take a 1-0 lead. Yamamoto no hitter into the 7th. They blow it. They give up another home run in the 10th to go down 3-1. But light work for the Dodgers. They score 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning. They break a 4-game losing streak. Oh, by the way, 1-game lead in the division, and the second best record in the National League, third best record in baseball, still belongs to the Dodgers. That is Anthony Witrado. I am Jeff Spiegel. We will be right back here, myself and Bruce, tomorrow night doing a live post-game show. Weird Wednesday night deal, taking Thursday off this week. But go check that out tomorrow night. Go check out my interview with Bruce that posted this morning as well. Tons of good stuff in there on Zaire Hope, Josue DePaula, Jackson Ferris, Dalton Rushing, Roki Sasaki, as well as, again, a couple pitching prospects who you may not have heard of now, but the next time any prospect list comes out, there's a couple names you're going to hear about, so check that out as well. DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 right here on YouTube. If you're new, subscribe, ring the notification bell, post-game videos, interviews, press conferences, all will be right here on your feed as soon as this show is over with. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.